Other announcements, we do have 1 million cups every single Wednesday, even with the holidays being here. So make sure that you wake up early and come grab your coffee, and then just make that your work for the day and then go home. So any other announcements?
I think there's one Wednesday we're not going to be here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and throw a tentative on December 27th. The applicants that
This is the first time hearing.
Yes, this is the first you're hearing of it. I'm sorry. Yeah, this
Don't know how to work Slack.
This is my announcement. So I do not yet have someone on the December 27th Wednesday. Most applicants are telling me they will not be in Madison at that time. So the website will be up to date. It will read as of the Wednesday prior, like immediately after that presentation, it will read canceled or there will be someone in that slot, and then we'll give you all an update next Wednesday as well. But December 27th, put a maybe late wake up on your calendar. Question mark.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's just start over. So tomorrow's culture community. Just kidding. I think that's it. Oh, and then DP's not here, but I'll just do this little announcement for him. Taps and Technology, also at the Madison Club, is going to be on the 20th. That's free beer, free wine, free apps. Basically just a networking group for people to come to. DP is actually going to be speaking at it on Wednesday the 20th, so I know that he would do that shout out himself.
The other thing is DP wrote a book called Rotoma.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Anyone?
What's that?
It's
Return on top of mind.
Social media top of mind. Return.
Rotoma. Everyone.
It's Rotoma.
It's for sale on Amazon.
He would be so
He'd be so proud. I hope he's watching right now.
the live feed.
Thing right now.
Yeah. All right, that's it for me. I'm Julianne Slesky. I do business development at the Madison Club, but I'll let everyone go down.
Just another shout out for culture community. Jill Peterson will be talking about how to build a culture around social impact and doing good in the community. So it's going to be really fantastic. I'm Leah Rowe. I'm with Healthfinch, Maven, and Culture Community.
Hey guys, I'm Diana Pastrana. I'm with M&M Office Interiors located in Middleton.
Morning, I'm Michael, also with Healthfinch. I do the scheduling website and coffee getting stuff.
Diana, don't you want to do your hashtag?
Oh, hashtag 1MC Madison.
Nice.
Woo! Use it.
There we go.
Always. Like, just put it on every post you make this whole week. Like, let's just see how much traction we can get.
Yeah, I'll pass it to the audience.
Hi everyone, this is my first 1 million cups. I am also from Healthfinch, so we've got quite a representation here. I do marketing and sales for them.
Hi everyone, my name is Dan LeCloche. This is my first 1 million cups. And I am a content marketer.
Awesome.
So,
Welcome.
My name is Trezzy. This is not my first 1 million. Sorry. Maybe. I run Trezzy.com, software accessibility consultant. I help businesses with their websites and applications, making them accessible for the disabled. I'm also the host of the 100 State of Mind podcast, which is out now, 100stateofmind.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi everyone, I'm Shannon. I'm a project manager at WPS.
My name is Travis Human. I own a small bike company here in Madison called Stray Cat Bicycles.
I'm Brian Rathbun. I'm down here to network and see some old friends.
Good morning. I am Susie Yonkel, Program Director of Merlin Mentors.
I'm Caleb, and this is my second 1 million cups. Yay! I am a real estate agent with Realty Executives.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aiden. I am a regular here, I guess. I am with Healthfinch, so that's 4, right?
Yeah,
So
up
far,
to 4.
Kids don't work.
It won't be long.
We obviously don't work very
We take
often.
Wednesdays off. Recognition of 1 million cups.
I'm also a part of Culture Community, excited for tomorrow. And yeah.
Good morning, I'm Tara Graves. I'm a business banker with State Bank of Cross Plains and help small businesses and startups with financing and other financial issues.
My name is Matt Smith. I am trying to launch a tech startup. I'm a non-technical aspiring founder.
Hi everyone, I'm Stacy Lewis Norland. This is my second one here. Happy to be back, and I do commercial real estate at Cressa. Help small businesses find office space, flex space, that sort of thing.
I'm Neeta, founder of SourceRight, who connects small businesses who need IT and small businesses who provide ideas and help them connect together.
I'm Lori Carlson, owner of Madison Green Box. We're a box rental service, making moving easier on our customers and the environment.
My name is Lucas. I'm the startup team strategist for Starting Block.
I'm Jonathan Solari. I'm the major gifts officer for Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin.
I'm Courtney Nelson, and I'm a freelance worker in community development and art projects.
I'm Maurice. This is my first time here. I'm a CPA. I started my own firm here locally a few months ago.
I'm Derek Gebler, CEO and founder of Field 59. We're an online media platform for media companies. That's newspapers, TV stations, and radio stations.
Hi, I'm Theo, and I do web design and illustration and graphic design.
I'm Danny Anderson. I work for Baker Tilly. We're an accounting firm that works with lots of startups.
All right, well, it wouldn't be traditional if I didn't miss something. So I'd like to thank our sponsors. Field 59, thank you for Crescendo Coffee, Old National Bank, and obviously the library for this great space. With that, I'm going to introduce my good friend. Oh, you have another one?
Did you have another announcement? I heard another one.
I am judging the Wisconsin Governor's Business Plan Contest, so this is a good reminder if anybody has applications are due January 31st or 30th, depending on how many days are in January.
The other quick thing, since we have so many first timers here, 1 Million Cups, we get together on a weekly basis, and we have a new entrepreneur in town pitch, and really we call it Dolphin Tank as opposed to Shark Tank. So it's really here for the community to support the entrepreneur, for the entrepreneur to make an ask of the community, and just to be really supportive and helpful. So.
And we're never concise. Like we just, yeah.
This is probably as good as it gets.
So with that, I'm going to introduce my good friend Jen, but also we're still doing the coffee mug club. So we have one for you, Jen, and then at the end you get to pick out whoever asks a good question or kind of whatever you want, and someone from the audience gets the second mug. Great. All right. Round of applause for Jen.
Well, thank you, 1 Million Cups, for that rousing introduction. A very thorough list of all the reminders. So my name is Jennifer Javornik. I am the founder of Formation Books. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a speaker. My day job is I'm the VP of Sales for Film and Games. I also sit on several advisory boards of small businesses. And then lastly, I'm a retired improv comedian of 15 years. So today we're going to talk about Formation Books and the STEM Mon series. This is the first and only book in the series. It was released on September 13th, and it's called She's a Technology Sales Executive, and She's My Mom. The book and the book series is for curious children who wonder what moms in STEM do all day. So it's both an opportunity to teach kids about a variety of STEM careers, and also through the lens or the experiences of real STEM moms. So you may or may not know her, or you probably love her, but this book was actually based on a real live person in the Madison community, Ashley Powell. And she was so generous to not only let me write about her and her profession, but about her life. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story about how this business came to life, what the inspiration for the business was, what I hope to accomplish for the business, and then lastly, I've got 2 asks. Greedy. So this is where it all came together. Does anyone know where this is? Yeah! So my children, I have 2 daughters, started reading the Harry Potter books, and at the time had 1 very enthusiastic reader and 1 non-enthusiastic reader. But I could see with Harry Potter, the non-enthusiastic one was getting really excited. So we made a deal that if they finished all 7 books, both of them, we would actually go to Harry Potter Land, which they did finish all 7 books, and we went for a magical week in Orlando. It is on the last day of this trip where I was completely theme parked out, but I had lived a whole week in imagination land, that the idea came for me to do this book. So I've actually launched multiple businesses and multiple startups, and I'm always very deliberate about it. I see a market opportunity, I kind of research the competition, I kind of decide if it's viable, I do a cost-benefit analysis. None of that happened with Formation Books. For some reason, it was the night before we left. Literally, the title for the book, as well as the plot line, the characters, everything came into my head. And it was at that moment that I was like, I'm just gonna do this. And then at that point, I really didn't know why. So sure enough, I researched self-publishing, I hired an artist, I looked into the process of what it would take, and it was only as I was working on the book that really it came together of why I was doing that book. Part of it was my career at Filament Games. So Filament Games, if you don't know, we're an educational video game studio, and it was somewhat, we had gotten a barrage of clients who wanted to do work around career readiness. So this is one example of a client that we did some concept art for, and really some of the themes of, there's just such an emphasis right now with our government of making sure that our kids come out of school able to work in the workforce, and kind of those themes kept repeating in my life through multiple client inquiries. Additionally, STEM was really at the focus, because I had just worked with a team at Filament to acquire funding from the National Science Foundation to create a VR experience for high school kids. The resulting works was Robo-Engineers, but really Robo-Engineers was the end of a whole legacy of games that we had made focused on STEM education. So with those two things together, I realized that there were three main questions that I wanted to answer in the book. The first one was explain to kids, what do you do in this profession? Like, what are the words that are particular to this profession? What are you going to actually spend your day doing? I think this is a very fundamental aspect of career education, but an important one. Just on a side note, I remember I went to undergrad, I went to a 4-year college, and my junior year it came to start thinking about like applying for jobs. And I realized that as a junior in college, I still pretty much only knew doctor, lawyer, architect, dentist. Like it was my dad was a teacher, my mom would stay at home, their friends were teachers, I had gone to school, and I also knew teacher. But I really, even, in college, I didn't really have an idea of what the careers were out there. So I think this was the first piece, was what do you do? The other question I want to ask her is, what are the traits or skills you need to have to do the profession? So part of it too, like careers, it's not only this is what I want to do, but this is what I'm good at. So the book spends some time talking about like, what is this person actually good at that makes them good into the career? And then the last point I think is really important and often missed is, why is this job important in the world? If I do this profession, what is the impact am I going to go on the world? Because it's really any profession, this is technology sales, but anyway, any profession has some way you are contributing to the world at large. So that was kind of a parting and last part of the book, was to make kids understood that. I think also on the side, kind of going to the mom, I think too from a kid's perspective, I think for kids who struggle with a parent who works outside the home, knowing that what they're doing is have a major impact in the world can be really helpful with helping that understanding. So the next source of information was interesting. So I'm talking about like, I didn't know why this idea came up. I was definitely thinking about career readiness and STEM education, but I was also thinking about women leaders, women in STEM, women and our place in the world. So this is a project that I had spent 6 months actually negotiating with Facebook to get. It's a VR experience called Breaking Boundaries VR. It comes out in January. And the experience is for the Gear VR, and it's an opportunity to step into 3 women's lives: Mary Curry, Grace Hopper, and Jane Goodall. So in the space, you get to explore the space where they worked, but also learn about their stories and their life. So definitely I had this on the brain in terms of things that I thought were important, that were inspiring me, that I was advocating for in my professional life. The other thing that came into my life was Building Brave. So Building Brave is an organization that is focusing on allowing women to discover their most confident selves. Filament Games was the developer of the app, and I spent a long time working with the founder to come up with a vision and a plan to execute her vision. So definitely when through that negotiation, I learned a lot about in the research of women in confidence, women in the workplace. So I was definitely thinking like these two things were swirling in my brain when the idea for the book came out. So really fundamentally, when I look at the book series, there's three audiences for it. First of all, it's actually for moms. Like I worked outside of the home since my kids were born, and I definitely struggled every time there was a meltdown when I left the house. So I was like, I didn't want one book. I would have loved a series of books of all moms going out of the house every day, doing big things with their lives. So hopefully this is one. I plan for there to be many, and just kind of reinforcing that message. I also consciously chose that this is not a story about the frazzle mom who can't get everything done, who takes a business meeting while watching soccer and going to the dentist. This is a story about a mom who actually her kids are well taken care of, and the whole story is actually told from the child's perspective of what, in this case, her son Jeffrey knows about what his mom does outside the home. I mean, the second audience for this is very obviously their children, right? So it's an idea, I was talking from the mom's perspective, but from the kid's perspective, what this book signals is it's okay that you're proud of your mom. Your mom does amazing things during the day, and you should kind of celebrate her contributions to the world. And there is actually no conflict between her role as a mother and her role as a professional, and those two roles actually go really well together. So that's what I had prepared about Formation Book and the STEM Mon series. I now have two asks. Number one, the book is available for purchase. So if everyone is looking for a Christmas treat for people in their lives, you can go on Amazon. It's actually, self-publishing is amazing. You put it in one place and it's suddenly in every online bookstore and being sold in Russia. So there are 3 formats, Kindle, hardcover, and paperback, and you can just buy it online. What I ask from you, if you do buy it, please leave a positive review. And if you didn't like it, please do not leave a review. So that's number one. I should also note I brought a few copies for sale today for my friends and people who have cash or check. I'm happy to sell them for $10 each. This is my second ask. So I did this first book, and I have subjects for my third and fourth book. What I do not have is my STEM mom for my second book. So I have tapped my community of people I know. So I'm asking everyone here in the room, everyone watching this online, to think about who could be my second mom. So I have a list of 10 things I'm looking for. And I know it sounds like a really long list of requirements, but it's very specific. So if you have that person, they should come to mind. So first of all, the woman has to be a mother, and because it's going to be about her life in the present, the woman's children should be somewhere between 0 and 12 years old. Secondly, she must work in a non-common STEM profession. So my first book was someone about the T in STEM, technology, but I am actually looking for someone in science, engineering, or math. STEM. Third, the person in the book has to be doing the actual work. So at my level of my profession, many of my STEM professional mom friends are managing people doing the work. I need people who are actually still practicing the science or engineering in their everyday life. Which also means not necessarily not in academia. So Madison is a rich town full of awesome academics, but this is not a story about academics. This is a story about people working outside of academia. Number 5, I'd love to find a woman of color. This series is definitely about representation. Ashley actually has a husband who stays at home during the day with her kids, and that's highlighted in the book. I would love to find diversity in families as well as diversity in race, because I want it to be representative. So, yeah, I need you to help me with that. Number 6, this person has to not be shy. They need to be willing to contribute their life with me, or give me access to their life. Preferably she has a strong social network or a social network and is willing to lean on it. Books don't sell themselves, people. Is open to be interviewed by the media, so someone who's willing to kind of make some noise about the book and is willing to be interviewed about it. Can get approval by her organization to be highlighted. So Ashley was working for Bendy Works, who did give me approval to use their logo in the book and actually feature their business, so that's going to be important. And then lastly, if they're from Madison, that's great. If they're not from Madison, that's great too. I'm more than happy to work with someone over Skype and the internet. So take this in. I have cards over there with my contact information, so if you want to let that brew for a while, take my card, and if you have someone, contact me later. Because my schedule for writing starts in January, which is just a few weeks away. So we would love to get that done. So that is the end of my presentation. I will now open the floor for any questions. Yes?
Have you thought about connecting to women's colleges and the alum associations at women's colleges? Because
I haven't.
They're really pushing STEM really hard, and philosophically, they'll have a major buy-in.
Oh, that's a great idea. They might also help me with recruiting.
Exactly.
My number 2. Thank you for the idea. Yes?
What other formats are your self-publishing? You said the outlets end up being in a lot of places. Is like ebooks and regular paper books in other places?
So what I've learned about self-publishing is you need to specifically format the book for every special medium. So hardcovers, paperbacks, and ebooks all have different formats. And then regular ebooks versus Kindle has a different format. Lo and behold, Amazon has not made it easy. I think because that it's different styles of printing, also for the hardcover book, it's just a thicker book, so it needs more space to wrap right around. Yeah.
Why do you have 3 and 4 but not 2?
Because my number 3 is ready, although she does not meet all of the criteria. Specifically, my number 3 is not a woman of color, and I'd like number 2 to be a woman of color. Book 4 is another T, also not a woman of color. So I am waiting for the universe to provide me number 2. Yes?
Can you go back to the requirement slide?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can't remember all those?
Also, Derek, if you want to get that, they can't see it on the live stream.
Really trying to
Making things happen over here. I love it.
All right.
Any other questions? I know one of the questions I asked if I was the illustrator. I was not. I worked with a contractor to do the art who is an excellent contractor. For better or for the worse, he also has a job with a non-disclosure. So he has chosen to remain anonymous. The other unnamed collaborator that was actually a really big part of the book is my daughter, Ingrid Salas. She's here today and not in school because we think she has bronchitis and we're going to the doctor afterwards. But Ingrid was amazing at keeping the jokes real and keeping the content relative to kids. I think one of the dangers, having done improv comedy for 15 years, having worked in the video game business, adults sometimes think they know what kids like and want, but often it's our own experience of what we liked 30 or 40 years ago. So Ingrid was great. She actually came up with some of the humor in the book and actually gave me feedback on some humor she did not find funny. Yes?
Can you talk a little bit about you and the venture of Formation Books? Do you intend to do it full time? Are you doing it full time right now?
Sure, that's a great question.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So because this business was not formed with a lot of like direct intention, I'm currently doing it as a side hustle. My focus right now in the short term is to be able to publish a series of 4 books, and when that hits every letter of the STEM. At that point, we'll see. Like, I will give you some feedback about book publishing. The margins are razor thin, and you are competing with a worldwide audience. So for now, it's a labor of love. It's also a labor of, like, I feel this is important in the world for where we are right now. Like, my big thing, I don't need to self-identify as an author. Like, I didn't grow up dreaming of being a children's book author. I know plenty of people do. That wasn't my dream. My dream really is, I love storytelling, which I kind of grew in that capability through improv, but I'm also super excited about just growing and supporting women leaders, not only in Madison, but in the world, and think it's really an important kind of evolution of our society that I'm happy to do kind of my part in supporting.
Awesome.
Thanks. Yeah.
I think one thing that's good about your book is it seems like it has an intention of being more than a book. And I think that can be a huge value added for published materials, is that it becomes more than a book in like further resources or opportunities for the people who get involved with your book, or opportunities. Are you considering anything like that, or like some way to connect with you outside, or like get people into groups, or just establishing some
I mean, when I dream big on Formation Books, there's a couple things that come to mind. I mean, I would love, so the good news with my regular job at Film and Games, I work with a lot of educational publishers. I would love, once this is a series of 4, to pitch it to an educational publisher of kind of taking on and growing. Like, I don't need to be the author forever. Like, would be more than happy to give it to a much larger organization who has a much bigger reach to kind of bring this whole series, to continue to develop the books and get it out into the world. Being kind of in the educational video game business, of course, I would love the STEM Moms cartoon series. I would love the STEM Moms video game. There's obviously a lot of ways that the IP can go. And I feel like when I get there, I'll explore all of those options. For now, I'm very much focused on number 2, coming into my life by January. Yeah.
Can you tell us just a little bit more about the razor thin margins?
Yeah.
Because just using the example of like, this book, and it's being sold online. Who all has their hand?
Okay, I'm going to tell you everything. So at this volume, I am leveraging the wonderful invention of print on demand. So there is no warehouse full of my books somewhere being sold. Basically, there is a distributor that I've signed up with, Ingram Spark, that kind of, that I file all my different formats, the different versions of the book. And then when someone goes to Amazon and buys my book, Amazon sends a message to Ingram Spark to say, hey, print 1 book for this address and send it to them. So Ingram Spark, they let you set your own price, but they won't let you set it so that you're losing money. So Ingram Spark takes pretty much half of the sell price. And then your bookseller takes just under half.
That'd be Amazon?
Yeah. Amazon, I'm also on Barnes & Noble, chapters in Canada. So they take just under half. And Ingram Spark takes just under half. So you get that 2 to 3%. So it retails online. Actually, I just saw last night it was for $16.60. I had set the price to $16.95 or $99. I don't know why Amazon decided to drop the price. But so that seems like a high dollar amount, for a hardcover book. But the other thing with children's books, they're expensive because of all the color. And you can't make you can't use thinner paper because they rip. And libraries won't stock them unless you have a certain kind of strong binding. So this is when you come see that book over there, you'll see it's premium paper. It's a very strong binding. So out of, I think for every book I sell on Amazon, I think I get like $1.17 out of that $16.99. Maybe less now that it's $16.60. Labor of love, and I'm on a mission too. A paperback is a little bit better, you make a little bit more, and you make a lot of money actually on Kindles, which is funny because those are for $2.99. I think they only keep 20 or 30%, and there's no, Ingram Spark takes very little because there's no printing, so it's interesting.
Kind of a follow-up question.
Yeah.
The print-on-demand strategy,
Yeah.
is there, let's say it takes off tomorrow.
Yeah,
and you,
which clearly it's going to.
Yes, that's what this platform is for.
Yes.
Do you have an option then to say, I'm not doing print-on-demand anymore, order 1,000 copies, whatever?
Yeah, so then you move to something called offset printing.
Okay.
And you can do that in the US. A lot of the offset printing is still being done in China. And that print on demand, if you print 1 or 100, it's always the same price because it's just the cost of printing the book. For offset printing, you actually get rebates with volume.
Gotcha.
So they start generally about 1,500 books. But then the more you order, the more there's a discount.
Yeah.
You can switch it on all the online book signs to carry your inventory, but then you're dealing with shipping from China. You are prepaying for those books. You're asking these book publishers to maintain an inventory, which at some volumes they just won't.
Yeah.
So big time is offset printing. Yes.
What reading level is this book? So like if someone would like to buy a bunch of them and donate them to their child's school, or teachers want to buy them, what grade level are we looking at?
Right, so that's a great question. So it was written with the intention of targeting, I think it's listed as a 4 to 7-year-old.
Oh, okay.
But they're going to have very different experiences. So the I've had parents and grandparents who have bought it for their 3 and 4-year-olds. Definitely the parent is reading it to the kid. Right. And the feedback was, it takes a couple times through. Like there's T-Rexes, there's pirates, there's all different things to keep them interested, but they're going to read it a couple times before they figure out kind of what it's about. I think as the kids get older, like in 1st or 2nd grade, they will be able to read it themselves.
So it would be good for pre-K through 1st or 2nd?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old,
Yeah.
and they both like it. The 3-year-old likes the T-Rex and the pictures, and the 7-year-old reads it at her own.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, my vision was to make it like a Pixar movie, right? It works on different levels. There's definitely a joke or two in there for the adult in the equation. Right. But yeah, I actually, once everything's turned off and we're just lounging around, I have the book on a looping PowerPoint. For anyone who wants to say, they can come and read it on the screen if they like.
It just sounds like it would be a really good gift for teachers for the holidays for their classrooms. So.
It was amazing. I actually had a book launch event in the community. It was a family mocktail party, which was a huge success. And at the mocktail party, people had a chance to buy the books for $10 each, or they could buy it for donation. So I coordinated with the library, and there'll be 3 books in circulation by the end of the month in the Madison library system that you can check out with your families. Yeah.
I guess regarding your presentation, I guess I didn't see, and I think for a lot of people it goes without saying, but just going through more of the values that it provides to the kids and the parents, what expectation, does it have cultural change that, young girls are, having an understanding of what they can do in a STEM field and enter a STEM field, and, and then for the adults, you were saying not the frazzled mom picture, and I think that.
Well, I have a couple ideas of what I hope that it sends the message, and of course people have their own experiences or are telling me. First of all, I think this is great for boys and girls who are interested in STEM, or even if they're not interested in STEM, because this whole series are not going to be books about community helpers. If you look at what's in the field of career books for this age group, it is all fireman, doctor, postman, which makes sense because those are adults that they might interact with in their everyday life. So when I had the idea, I was a bit nervous, like, ooh, this doesn't fit into that mold. But then I was staying at my friend's in New York, and her son was talking to me, who's 4, and he definitely talked to me about like 4 or 5 different breeds of dinosaurs, what they ate, what they preyed on, with words that I couldn't even pronounce. So it was in that moment that I was like, kids can understand things they can't see, and kids can actually understand pretty complex topics like food chains and predator-prey at a very young age. So I decided not to shy away from it. So I think it can be an inspiration for boys and girls, and I would love it if we thought as women leaders and moms who work as not just being an inspiration for girls. Like, why couldn't they be inspiration for girls and boys? I think it's just. I think for parents, I think for moms, like I've talked to moms who are in the workforce and moms who are currently working from the home, and it says something to either group. Like I think for moms who work, it kind of is confirmation. Like, look, here's a story of a family who mom goes to work. In this book, she travels because she travels to conferences, and there is a scene in the book where she's Skyping with her child, like when she's in a hotel one night, and just kind of sees like the contribution that Ashley makes in the world. I think for women who are currently kind of working from the home and taking care of their kids, I've gotten the feedback like, this is so important because I actually right now am working from home, and they've never known me as someone who worked outside the home. And while I plan to work outside the home again once my kids are older, like I don't want them to think that's a weird thing. Like it's actually a thing that's very common. So. And then finally, I think the third party, right, is dads. Like I also think, obviously, dads are part of the equation and a part of the family. And I think that if the moms feel better about working, for the families who choose to have a mom who's working, and if the kids are more settled about the fact that their mom's working, it's good for the whole family, including the dads.
I don't really have a question, but more of a thank you, because I've worked out of my home ever since my kids can remember, and I think one of the values that comes in on this is my kids are 7 and 5, and they ask me like, Mom, how come you never volunteer at the school during our class parties? You know what I mean? Like, so there is a trade-off. They do, so it's good for them to see Mom doesn't just not show up, Mom's out doing something, and I really appreciate that you didn't take the like busy mom approach, because that's like semi on some levels. So I really like the basis of the book. I think that there's definitely a value in the home to show kids, and I think to understand other kids who have parents who work outside the home. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom, having other kids to know the experience of another family that might not be familiar to them.
Right.
So I think
ultimately my
valuable.
theory is maybe kids will have an easier time with their moms going to work if they know they're doing something important in the world.
Yeah.
Because they only see it from their perspective as she's not here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
or
Why
she's
didn't
not
you
at the
come
class
to-
party.
Yeah, why didn't you come to the class party? Well,
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's
yeah.
important.
So, yeah.
Can I ask a totally different question about
Yeah.
your stand-up comedy?
What's
your general theme when you...
So I was in improv comedy, which means everything was made up. So there was no scripts, no lines to rehearse, no costumes, just on the spot. I originally started with Comedy Sports, which used to be a franchise down on State Street. When that dissolved, I joined Monkey Business, and they're still performing Saturday nights at the Glass Nickel East. So I did it for 12 years. I think with, so my undergrad was in drama, and although I never really had an intention of pursuing that professionally, the great thing about improv comedy is it was something that I could do while I was working full-time. And for a big part of my tech career, I traveled, so it's something I could do part-time on the weekends where I didn't have to go to rehearsals and didn't have to like practice during the week. So it just fit into my lifestyle. I can do a whole other 1 million cups about the value of improv, but I will leave you with another great gift idea for someone in your life is they do offer classes. And I know like that's just a great thing for people who one day think they're funny and would want to do it professionally, but just also people in your life who they might actually be funny. I'm not saying they're not, but I meet people all the time being like, yeah, I think of jokes. I'm like, well, that's great.
My friends laugh.
But then secondly, just people who kind of want to get out in the world, try something different, kind of get them more comfortable with extemporaneous speaking. That is definitely where I see my roots of doing this book, is I wanted to make sure that it was funny and engaging. And with kids, you don't have like 4 pages to lead up to the joke. Every page has to hit with something. So that was a fun way to apply storytelling in a different medium for me.
Okay, I have to cut it off just because we're running out of time, but if you guys want to stay later, you can. Jen, this is for you.
Thank you.
One Canadian to another. And then this you get to give out to someone.
Well, I'm trying to think, like, can I give it to the organizer?
No, I already have one.
You already have one. Can I give it to the other mom in the room?
Yes.
Yes.
Whoever you want.
Other mom.
Thank you, Jen.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.